begin your talk. Today, if you see what compliance and the level of compliance it has evolved, I think when I look back 20 years back, I practically cringe because you really, for the business person, unless and until, as he said, if you do not have any grip on what compliance means, you'll be really left behind in terms of, and you look like a fool running a business. So I think, to sum it up, compliance, it has evolved from being an unnecessary evil to a necessary evil. And people have to accept it.
Well said. Thank you very much. The best way to look to compliance from a financial sector perspective would be to look from the customer side. There is a price for compliance, there is no doubt about it. But when you look to enhancing customer value, I think you will definitely have a different perspective. I will take through the final example of compliance which all of us as consumers have benefited. Take the case of railway booking. It used to be chaotic 15-20 years back when compliance was not the name of the game. You can book nothing to your liking. You have to basically, in fact, in a very chaotic manner. The way the railway booking basically, in fact, got enforced, putting the customer in perspective, has made a lot of difference. A massive organization, a very chaotic organization like Indian Railways, became the benchmark of compliance, putting the customer in place.
Thank you very much. Although compliance is being talked about, and I think in probably the banking sector, compliance has been a little more, but we still would find that in this sector as well as in any other sector, there are non-compliances and they continue to happen. And that's what they say, that there are the law breakers are more clever than the lawmakers. So the moment there are compliance is required, the tendency, and I'm talking more in terms of the people related issues, because compliances, there could be systems for compliances, there could be procedures which are laid down for compliances, but the implementation of all this has to be done by people. And I think the education of people, ensuring that there is a timely action if at all somebody who is non-compliant, and even rewarding or recognizing if the people are complying, you will find that the industry will change and people will change.
Thank you very much, sir. I just want to, throw some got skewed to the fact that, we are not in the financial services industry. But where compliance, where compliance really makes a difference, and you cannot, have a paper compliance. I do not know how many people know that the airline industry, the compliance standards in an airline industry, the banking compliance or financial services industry compliance is nothing compared to the airline industry.
A very important issue on compliance would be compliance at what cost. In fact, when you look to compliance as standalone, definitely the cost would be mind-boggling, especially when there is a tendency to cut costs, cut corners. But if you look at a macro level and on a long-term basis, and that on a wholesale basis, you would appreciate that the compliance brings down the cost in the larger manner.
As a common man, I must say I'm completely frustrated with this compliance. I just don't believe that there is any bloody compliance in this country. Because how can one Mr. A. Raja put country to the loss to the tune of 1.5 lakh crore? What compliance are we talking about? How can a building which is something like 36 floors can come on the defense land, and what compliance are we talking about? How can a satyam becomes a satyam, and what compliance we are talking about? Is there a compliance? What are we talking about?
That's exactly the reason we need compliance. That's why we are doing this. If we had compliance, we didn't need to. If we had compliance, we wouldn't have Satyam, we wouldn't have Raju, we wouldn't have Enron, we wouldn't have 1,000 other things.
And you can't talk about human greed. So this is all set aside. So you cannot just blame the fact that there is no compliance in the country. The person can let aside everything, every other rule, and do what he wants.
Every organization has a compliance officer. But suddenly the compliance officer has become like a, the good old days Dada. He said, no, you have to do this. This is a matter of interpretation.
And the good compliance officer skills is not showing and throwing the rule book. His job is to look at the rule book, understand what is correct, and find a solution to that without breaking the law.